I'm going to ask both of you guys, what are the metrics that are important to determine that? Justine, what are the metrics that you use and think about every day as you build your audience and build a deeper relationship with them that you then turn over to brands and advertisers so that they'll end up coming in and wanting to be part of your community?
I mean, I think it's all the standard things like that they all want to see. It's like, oh, what are the analytics? How many views? How many likes? And this stuff. And I think that's a very good way to sort of, you know, encompass if the project did well. But I feel like you were saying, the longer term relationships is what's very important. Like,
how do you measure that?
Well, so this is kind of random. So this is a drink that I drink almost every single day, not sponsored at all. It's just something that I absolutely love. And you know, that sort of impact, like if you go to the reviews for this drink, like on their website. You
can tell us what it is, by the way.
Oh, it's yerba mate. It's
okay,
so good. Anyway, but it's like this very specific can that I've been drinking since like 2011, since I found them at Comic-Con. And when you go to the reviews on that website, it's like, iJustine sent me here, I can't wait to try this, iJustine sent me, and it's like just over and over and over again. So like that's the type of impact, and that's why longer term relationships, where it's genuinely finding these creators who like these things and going after them to help craft the message of what the brand wants.
Yeah, what we used to do at Revision 3 early on, we worked with Netflix a lot, and there was like, you know, sign up for Netflix and get 2 weeks free, and we would do movie clubs and all these other things, and we would measure it just by the amount of product that got moved, right?
Sure.
And the stuff that happened in there, we'd have individual codes for everybody, and it would just be used over and over and over again. Brian, is that a sort of thing that you see out there now, or are there other ways that people are measuring?
I think that some of the more strategic efforts are actually measuring outcomes. So they'll define like, how are we going to look at success? And they'll use things like likes and views as KPIs to get there. But I'll tell you a super fast story. Several years ago, I was working with the United Nations. And you remember this with Ashton Kutcher, where we wanted to raise awareness of malaria with millennials and younger folks online. And we were trying to get people to donate bed nets. And so the first group of influence that we went out with was #malaria and also a link to donate a $10 bed net. And I think within the first 3 days, we had something like 300,000 tweets about it, and because of all of the great group we had, but almost 0 bed net donations. And this was the thing that was really interesting, and I'm telling the story because everybody now thinks that they're an influencer, regardless of how many people you have following. What we had learned is that people were retweeting all of the things that we were saying as a way of saying, I'm not giving you $10, but my retweet is probably going to get you hundreds of thousands of dollars in donations, and yet none of those retweets actually equated to outcomes. So we had to change the messaging to say, don't retweet this, just donate. Right. And then they retweeted it and then donated. But the whole point was that our metric was how many people are going to get bed nets, because that's really what counts here.
All right, I got to do a little poll right here. Okay, so are these people influencers or not? Ashton Kutcher, is he an influencer?
Well,
I don't think I want to play this game.
Yeah. No.
All right, fine, never mind. We'll throw that one out.
But I do think that.
He's a great guy.
All right, I was going to go Kim Kardashian next, but no one wants to talk about that. Okay, so, let's talk about something that Ted Rubin, I think, started talking about, which is return on relationship. And this is a metric that I think is actually really interesting if we could figure out how to measure it. But I think that kind of gets to the heart of what we've been talking about, right? Like, what is the return on relationship? Define what return on relationship means, I think, to you, Brian, and then I'd love to get your take on it too, Justine.
You know, so when I talk about influence or I talk about anything, I go to the root word, like what does a relationship mean? And it's usually where a couple people or more than a couple people get mutual value out of that engagement, right? So I think about, well, what's value to Justine, what's value to me, and then how do I get that return based on what that value is? I also look at ROI as return on ignorance. So what happens if we don't start thinking this way? When everybody else is just shotgunning stuff out, if we even take a moment to think about relationships and outcomes, we're already having a competitive advantage that other people aren't thinking about.
Yeah, what do you think about return on relationship? Is that something that's measurable? You obviously think about it all the time.
For sure, and I mean, I think working with brands, like you said, it is a relationship, and you know, the brands that do get it, I mean, there's been times where we've been like, you know, I know this is something that we planned on doing, but you've completely taken what we were originally going to do, and now it's completely different. And I'm like, well, I'll walk away from the money because my relationship with my fans means more to me than this paycheck. Granted, it might be incredible, and throughout the years, I've had to turn down so many projects that would have been great because I was like, this is not a fit for me or my audience.
Give me a cautionary tale where that happened. I mean, was there a time early on where you accepted something and you're like, oh man, now I have to do it?
Well, there's times where I'm just like reading my email. I'm like, have you watched any of my videos at all? Because this is something that is completely just out of the realm of anything. And I love also, there was like a big marketing email that went out to a bunch of like tech reviewers asking them if they wanted to do a makeup review, and I was like, I think and most of them were guys, and I was the only girl, and I'm like, I still have not posted makeup videos on my channel, so clearly you've not done your research.
Couldn't you take the makeup and actually put makeup on an iPhone and do like, hey, this is how we're going to tart up our iPhone?
This is good. I can take a picture of myself and then put the makeup on the phone. This is good.
Oh yeah, see, there you go. That's even better, exactly. You like that, all right. All right, we got to do some collaborations here. That'll be fun. What about you, Brian? You got a cautionary tale for us of somebody of influence gone horribly wrong?
Oh my gosh, where to start? I don't know, man. I'll tell you this, is that I think one of the areas where things are going to go wrong here moving forward, I think we can learn a lot from that. We'll just not name the festival that went awry recently.
Oh yeah, the one down in the Bahamas or something?
I'll tell you though, that sounded like a great festival. So.
It sounded like a good idea, right?
Did.
Yeah, it did. I think though, what the cautionary tale from that is not having transparency. I think that a lot of people should feel lied to from the influencers who are paid to promote that and not tell that this was a paid ad.
Yeah.
And I think that those cautionary tales are going to become, back to your point about trust and relationships, I think that any influencer has to really start thinking seriously about how they can still get paid and look better doing it with their community by being transparent. And I think there's too much shady stuff going on, and we don't hear a lot of those cautionary tales, and I'm happy in some ways that that got so public, because now we really have to start paying attention to it.
For sure. I mean, there's been a project recently where, you know, if a brand tells you you don't have to put hashtag ad, then you shouldn't be working with them, because, I mean, that's awful. Like, that is something that you have to be transparent, especially now. And I know, and I get called out a lot too. There was actually some news article in Canada, some TV like made this huge thing like Justine doesn't disclose. And the video that they used, I was like, I just spent $1,000 on this product that I'm showing you. So I paid the company essentially to make this video. And I was like, yeah, there's no disclosure because this wasn't sponsored.
Because I bought it and I love it.
So now I've been having to put hashtag not sponsored because
I've had to do that too.
I'm like, I
hashtag not ad.
like, it's crazy. So it's like disclosing both things. And I know, especially for a lot of like tech reviewers and makeup gurus, they do put in the links like in the description that it's like, hey, this isn't sponsored. I bought all this stuff myself, because people don't know.
But that's right, because I think trust is that's the only thing you have. I mean, this is from back in the tech review days in my time, where you lose that trust and you're done.
Yeah, and
You're done.
The internet is not forgiving.